Welcome to the Conscious Fire Culture. We give you direct access to healers, practitioners, and shamans as we explore alternative medicine for wildland firefighters. The mission is to break the stigma of mental health in wildland fire and lower the suicide rates. Our intention is to guide you through a transformation that creates a ripple effect in our community. Welcome. I'm so excited you've made it. Alright, check this out. Mountain Mind Tricks and the Wildland Wellness Foundation are coming together for this amazing collaboration. This is going to be the most powerful thing to come to the wildland fire community in a long time, I think. And that is, master plant ceremonies mixed with holistic medicine, with acupuncture, chiropractors, the breakthrough session, all these things coming into one to support you, the wildland firefighter, to help you regain your mental health, your physical health, and get back to peak performance as soon as possible. Because when we work with master plants and essential oils and acupuncture and chiropractic and mental emotional release, when we put all these together, it is a powerful transformational experience that really it's beyond words. Because once you're touched by the divine, once you're in touch with that healing energy of the universe, with that innate power for you to heal yourself, there's no stopping it. It's like a runaway train. It's like you're gonna start healing. You're gonna have a transformation that has this ripple effect that goes beyond just you and your family, but to your crew, to your fire station, to your workstation, to your forest, to your region, to the community. And really what we want to do is give you the most amazing ceremonial experience and back that up with the integration. How do you take those experiences and come back to 3D reality and implement them? Implement those lessons, those realizations that are so deep and profound that your entire life changes. How do you integrate those? One of my great mentors once told me, it's like you get a puzzle and all the pieces are all spread out, but then you get to start putting that puzzle back together into a new way, a new possibility, a new way of being. And that's what the foundation is working on. The first retreat is the end of January of 2022. And if that's interesting to you, I want you to go to the wildlandwellnessfoundation.com. Check that out. And just schedule a call with Melissa and see if it's a good fit. Again, that's wildlandwellnessfoundation.com. The foundation of Mountain Mind Tricks is the breakthrough sessions for wildland firefighters, and it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my entire life, is to guide somebody through an awakening experience, remembering that they have the power to heal and giving them the tools to release the anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt from their past, and to truly release it, to let it go. And when I see these transformations in my clients, it's like night and day. There's before the breakthrough session, and then there's after. And there's just so many times that their transformation touches me that I cry. Like it's so powerful and joyful to see that transformation inside them. And there's so many modalities out there. There is acupuncture and traditional therapy and plant medicine, but I love the breakthrough session. I think it's an amazing adjunct to all these other things, or even Western medicine. And the breakthrough session is so important to me because it's what changed my life. It's what allowed me to completely let go of my anxiety and to move forward and to become the healer that I am today, to start my own company, Mountain Mind Tricks. Like that's because of the breakthrough session. Without that, there wouldn't be any of this. And so if you're interested in a breakthrough session to really overcome the blocks in your life, to let it all go, to really step into your light and be who you know you could be, if you want that to happen for you, just go to mountainmindtricks.com, go ahead and click that button, Alternative Mental Health, scroll through there. If it looks like something you want, let's schedule a discovery session. Let's just chat about it. Let's have a talk to make sure it's a good fit. So again, go to mountainmindtricks.com and click the Alternative Mental Health button. welcome everybody back to the show. I'm so excited to have Alan Wade and Cindy Preston. They are master practitioners of NLP, hypnosis, and mental emotional release. They're international best-selling authors and just amazing people, and one of my best friends, best amazing folks just to work with. And we have Anne with us as well, co-hosting. And so we have four master practitioners here in this interview. I'm so excited about this, and we're just going to jam about mental emotional release. And Alan or Cindy, could you introduce yourselves and let us know, like, kind of your background? How did you get into mental emotional release, and how has this journey been like for you?
Yeah. How did we get into NLP? You know what? The funniest thing about it is I know exactly when it happened. Cindy was the one that got us into NLP. And once we went through the practitioner level
Yeah.
and we did our masters, the the change was amazing. I thought practitioner level was good where you can help someone to do a like to dislike or something like that. But when I got certified with MER, that was a big time game changer for our clients, for our friends, and for ourselves.
Yes, that was actually it's really interesting because how I got into NLP was I was actually in Costa Rica and I met a couple, and the woman that I had met just got back from taking training with Tad James, not Matt James, Tad James, Matt's father. And she went on and on and on about it. And I just thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. I never really thought much of it. She was so excited about it. She gave me all of her um, DVDs from it, or CDs.
Yeah,
CDs.
CDs.
And I just took them home and threw them in the cupboard. And I thought, whatever. And then I started just paying attention to NLP stuff that I saw on Facebook, or some of the Tony Robbins books I was reading. And I thought, I need to learn that. So I actually took out all these CDs, and Alan and I started listening to them in the car when we were driving. And I'm like, we have to take NLP training. So we looked up and found Matt James and took it. And the whole thing's been a game changer for both of us.
Right. And for everybody listening, your background is addictions counseling, right, in Canada, and how long have you guys been practicing with with a company or agency or whatever you want to call it up there, but how long have you been doing that addictions counseling?
Well, if I tell you that we have 30 years combined experience working in the addictions and mental health field, it kind of tells you just, or gives you an idea of just how old we are. But yeah, yeah, we have 30 years combined experience in the addictions mental health field here.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And so something I really wanted to get your thoughts on, because you are practitioners in mental health, and you know what is the difference between like therapy, traditional therapy, and what we do as master practitioners?
Do you want to do that one or do you want me? Because I got to try to keep it positive.
Well, the thing that I've found is working in an addictions, the thing you realize quite quickly is probably 100%, very close to 100% of your clients have had trauma. They use substances to cope with their trauma, and then it becomes an addiction for them. So these clients who've had trauma, um, traditional therapy is they just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, which re-traumatizes them over and over and over again, and it kind of becomes a revolving door. So the thing I find that I really resonated with the NLP and the was the MER training, because of the trauma. The work that with the trauma is just unbelievable, how that can be a game changer for people. And as you know, Thomas, we did some work with you and some of your clients from and your experience. It's like there's no comparison to how the relief of the trauma is gone within hours. So that would be the game changer for me.
Yeah. And when I worked in Sudbury and the facility that I was working at closed, I had worked with many men, and a few of them reached out to me as about a year later or 2 years later after the place had closed, and I provided some unofficial support and listened to them and tried to give them coaching because that's what I was focusing on in the time. But I had two individuals that would tell me the same story virtually weekly or bi-weekly, and you can feel their energy. They're re-traumatizing themselves, talking all the time. And when I became a master practitioner in MER, I called those two clients up and I told them, I've got a way to help you, and it's not going to take me 6 months or 6 years or 60 years. It's going to probably take me 2 hours, 3 hours. And the results I had with just those two young gentlemen was absolutely amazing. After they did the MER session and a month of coaching, they couldn't believe the difference between traditional counseling and NLP.
So Alan, I think you hit on something really big here, is that sometimes the clients, like, they have a hard time believing it's gone, right? Like, are you sure? Like, yes, it's definitely gone. Like, this stuff doesn't come back. And it's because I think we're so in the traditional model and the medical model and a lot of these things that we're kind of used to, that we're supposed to suffer for 6 months through therapy or 6 years through therapy. We're supposed to take a long time to heal, and that's just not the case, is it?
No, and you know what? A funny thing that I figured out was, and I tell people, I said, well, you know what? You can be traumatized in a minute or a morning or an afternoon. Why can't you be free of that trauma in an hour session or a 3 hour session as Cindy and I created? And that is my one of my go-to descriptions of trauma is, well, why can't you be? And it's kind of like you said, we have this belief, limiting belief, that once you're traumatized, you're going to need years of counseling to get over it.
So the thing that I really appreciate about MER is kind of the concept of everybody that we talk to, especially a lot of our clients, have this idea of like Western medicine, and that's kind of how they understand things and how it works for them. So you're supposed to go to the doctor, and then they'll give you direction to go to a psychiatrist or a counselor or whatever it may be. And then you're supposed to do that for like a year and go once a week for a year, and you're supposed to just solve all your problems by talking to this person. And it's just so ingrained in people that they can't really think outside of the box into some of these modalities that we all specialize in. And we have this concept of MER where we can remove the traumatizing experience without re-traumatizing you. And that's still something that people kind of understand, is when you kind of go through like a PTSD training or something like that, that you're going to be able to get rid of it, but you're going to have to go through that trauma again. And that's just not true with MER. We are able to use the timeline therapy to remove the negative feelings and the limiting beliefs around all these instances in your life without having you go back into the incident and really get like overwhelmed with all these feelings. And that's really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's so huge. And I think, something that in our line of work with the wildland firefighters is like when there's a major tragedy, usually there's a team that comes in and helps with peer support and kind of helps people get supported in the moment. And I've had a couple people explain to me that some of their homework after that was to listen to the calls or replay the video in their mind like over and over to like really, like we're talking about, desensitize them to it. And that's just not even close to what we do. In fact, that's kind of the opposite of what we do, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's totally the opposite. I've recently worked with four different individuals that have been in counseling for years, and they remind me, oh, I've been in therapy for years, and I know the process, and I have to stop them. And the funniest thing was a young lady that I recently helped, she started telling me, and I said, I don't really need to know, and I don't need you to be re-traumatized again. And she looked at me through the Zoom, and she said, well, how does this work? I said, well, you know what we're working on, right? She goes, yeah, you were very specific to the subject I wanted to work on. I said, well, as long as you know what we're working on, I don't need to know what it is. And she looked at me as if I was talking another language. And I said, you know what, just trust the process, follow the process, and we can talk about the results after. And when we were finished, it was like watching somebody on Zoom, and you can see their facial coloring change. You can see their expression on their face change. You can see their
physiological.
Thank you. I can never get that word out. You can see it change right in front of us as we're doing it. And it was amazing. She's told a bunch of her friends, and that's why I've suddenly become very busy.
Oh, that's so amazing. Yeah, and the physiological changes are so gigantic. And so I want to shift a little bit to, getting to the root cause. And I think this has been so interesting. Of all the sessions I've done, each one's different, but I find a lot of patterns, right? And I think you'll agree here that there's people kind of have that root cause belief. It's maybe not the same, but can be really similar. And it's like, the biggest one, of course, is like, I'm not good enough. Like that is it's pretty prolific, actually, how many people, like the root cause, like that's the problem. And it's not always that, but I want to get your take on like how this one belief, whatever it is, this one limiting belief creates this spider web of thousands of all these other negative beliefs and feelings and thoughts. And that's the core thing that we're working with, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And I know for us, as you said, it's usually something to I don't deserve good things. I am not worthy. That kind of stuff, like you were saying, that's usually what the real core issue is with pretty well everyone we work with. And, we help them to figure that out themselves.
Right.
And then we release that through the limiting beliefs.
So the last couple of years, I had to quit coffee because coffee was like this liquid shot of anxiety for me. Like my heart would race. I could focus intently, but only for a couple hours, and I would crash super hard. And my sleep was so off. I mean, I would be wandering the universe until, 3 a.m. before I finally got to sleep. And then I had to get back at it at 6 or 7 a.m. And I was groggy. I was tired. It just wasn't working for me. It's not that I was mad at coffee. I was just really disappointed. And so I ended up quitting coffee. And I've been searching for an alternative for a long time. And that's when I came across mud water. Mud water is this amazing, amazing tea. It's got masala chai in it. It's got cacao, lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, reishi, cinnamon, turmeric, and Himalayan sea salt. And what's so amazing is that you feel the same energy, that same burst that you get from coffee, but it sustains all day. There's no crash, there's no headache, there's no dehydration. It's just this beautiful experience. And so yeah, I'm gonna say it, fuck your coffee. You gotta switch over to mud water because mud water will change your life. There's immune boosting properties, helps you focus with the lion's mane. There's 1/7 of the caffeine compared to coffee, and so there's no jitters, there's no anxiety. It's just this beautiful experience with beautiful plants. So fuck your coffee. So if you want to try out mud water, I want you to go to mountainmindtricks.com/mudwater, or go to the shop and click on the button. Again, that's mountainmindtricks.com/mudwater. So one of my favorite things about the Mudwater company is that they donate a percentage of their profits to the MAPS Institute. It's an organization that develops medical, legal, and cultural context for people to benefit from the careful uses of psychedelics. So the MDMA, psychedelic assisted therapy, phase 3 trials. This is MAPS. And that's so important because there's been some amazing breakthroughs in the research with veterans and PTSD and depression and all sorts of amazing things that they're doing. It's so important to support this company.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think when we do the timeline therapy with the limiting belief, and this is just my experience, and of course the clients have a different experience, but when I went through that, it was all like watching all of those events as we're coming back to now actually change and rewire, and all these different events have a different shape and a different color and a different way that they actually happened in my past. It was like when we change this one belief, it changes our past, which actually gives us a chance to change our future. And I think that's kind of, I want to get your take on that.
Thinking of that, it's just so magical and such a miracle, really, And I totally agree, Thomas. It is. It changes so many things in our life, and sometimes it's just amazing what things will change after this. We always tell our clients, when you change, your world changes, and I don't think they believe us.
Yeah. And when we, because you've been through the freedom session with us, where we do beginning of finding limiting beliefs, it's amazing how that one first belief that I don't deserve happiness or I'm not worthy, when that one thing changes, a lot of the other limiting beliefs are already, it's kind of like, we call it the ripple effect. You change one thing and suddenly all of those other beliefs are changed already, because a lot of times we get to, okay, do you still believe this one? And they go, no, I don't believe that anymore at all. And it's like dropping a rock in a pond of water and watching the ripple effect in their life change right in front of our eyes.
So I found it really interesting with some of my clients as well, when they really break through, and it's almost after the MER, it's like two different people. Thomas and I have talked before about like being one person before a breakthrough session and being a different person after the breakthrough session. And I've had a lot of my clients describe different ways and kind of that they come back through some of their timeline. I had one client explain it to me like, as she would go through each memory coming back, that all of the old baggage and stuff that she had, she would just think it was like a big golden brick, and she would just like kick it off the little runway that she was going on. It was just like, bye-bye, gone forever. And then when we went back to go kind of, recollect ourselves and kind of discuss what the bigger problem was, like, I'm not good enough. One of my clients actually told me, like, I feel bad for that person that was thinking that. Like, they were two completely different people. And it's so true for a majority of the people that we work with, that just have these massive, massive changes in such a short amount of time, and it can cascade into some really big effects in their life. And I think that kind of leads up into like, once you have gotten rid of that baggage, it starts to spread into other parts of your life. So if we work on a breakthrough session in a relationship, and you work through all of this baggage and get rid of it and kick those little gold bricks off the pathway, now you have a lot less baggage in your physical health and in your career, and it just starts to cascade. And yes, there's still some stuff there because we can't get rid of your entire life in an hour, but just having that freedom to know that I am free from a lot of this stuff that's been holding me back for all my goals for all this time, and now I have the freedom to make new goals, and it's super exciting for clients.
Yeah, it's kind of like what is Matt James says. I love it when a client calls me up and they say they've got baggage, they've got more baggage. And I've recently had a young lady that calls me up and says, all right, we got to do another session. We want to release something else. And it's amazing to see people change, and to, like, she'll report that I didn't even notice this was happening in my life. And it's like Cindy said, the subtle ripples that happen when you change one part of your life ripples into all other aspects of your life.
Yes, and that's the physical part. I want to just share a really amazing story. I worked with a woman a while back, and she thought she couldn't have children, and she was in
Yeah.
her early mid 30s at the time. And she was convinced, due to physical problems, that she couldn't have any children. And we did the MER on her, and within a year, she contacted me and said, all out of the blue, she got pregnant. And she was just so happy because she never thought she could ever have children. And we believe that that was due to that physical change, from changing her past and her new future. And it's just beautiful to see.
Oh, that's such an amazing story, and there's so many stories like that that we all have as master practitioners, and something I'm curious for you, Cindy, because I know and I'm not sure if Alan, if you practice Reiki as well, I don't know, but though what's really interesting is when we bring energy into the mental emotional release, it's almost like having both energy and the mental emotional release. When we have both simultaneously, it seems like we go even deeper and there's even a bigger healing for the person. I want to get your take on this, Cindy.
I absolutely agree. I had one client actually last summer that Al and I both worked on, and she had been a victim of a car accident, and she couldn't remember who she was. She didn't know her name. She had no memories of who she was, and it had really destroyed her life from this car accident. So she came. I reached out to her over Facebook because she was really suffering. I wanted to help her, so she come actually physically to the house, and she was really struggling during some of the MER process. So we actually had to do energy work with her to help her. And it was amazing, the results. She now has memories. She knows who she is.
Yeah.
She's getting her life back. And I believe that the energy work that we did with her was the big part of helping her with that MER experience.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. It's like people are getting their life back from trauma, from injuries, from childhood traumas. Like it really is some of the most empowering work. I'm just so blessed to be here with you all, like doing this work, because it's so powerful. And Cindy, I want to ask you as well, like I feel like sometimes there's maybe with these traumas come either thought forms or some sort of attachments that are energetic that are part of the trauma. And I feel like the energy allows us to really work on both of those, right?
Yes, what an amazing idea, because that, I think that's so true. That the energy definitely changes from releasing all that trauma. And we've had clients actually start feeling like they're vibrating after doing the MER work with us, because they've released so much energy that was not serving them. So I totally agree with that. And I know with some of the clients I've worked with, we've actually done a part in the MER session where we stop and they actually bring back some of the spirit that left during that incident. And the results have been astounding. It's just, they're blown away by that.
Yeah. I think, are you talking about like doing a soul retrieval type thing during MER? Because this is something, we've chatted about before. And I feel like that, especially during if it's a major traumatic event, using the soul retrieval inside the event with them has been life-changing for my clients, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, we've adapted that to certain clients that are open more spiritually, but it's amazing. Like, I believe that we got that idea from you, Thomas.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's something I got from my acupuncturist. He taught me how to do that, and it's a really powerful technique. Is the soul retrieval, and because I had to do my own, and I still have to do it sometimes, and it's really interesting of where, where we leave pieces of ourselves, and it doesn't have to be this crazy traumatic thing always. Like for me, I left a whole bunch of pieces of myself when we moved from Montana to Wyoming. And it was like, I was really not feeling good for about a week. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I left like half my body over there in Montana. And when I reintegrated, it was like, okay, now I'm here now. Like now I feel so much better. And it's just so interesting, isn't it?
All right, check this out. Mountain Mind Tricks and the Wildland Wellness Foundation are coming together for this amazing collaboration. This is going to be the most powerful thing to come to the Wildland Fire community in a long time, I think. And that is, master plant ceremonies mixed with holistic medicine, with acupuncture, chiropractors, the breakthrough session, all these things coming into one to support you, the wildland firefighter, to help you regain your mental health, your physical health, and get back to peak performance as soon as possible. Because when we work with master plants and essential oils and acupuncture and chiropractic and mental emotional release, when we put all these together, it is a powerful transformational experience that really, it's beyond words. Because once you're touched by the divine, once you're in touch with that healing energy of the universe, with that innate power for you to heal yourself, there's no stopping it. It's like a runaway train. It's like you're gonna start healing. You're gonna have a transformation that has this ripple effect that goes beyond just you and your family, but to your crew, to your fire station, to your workstation, to your forest, to your region, to the community. And really what we want to do is give you the most amazing ceremonial experience and back that up with the integration. How do you take those experiences and come back to 3D reality and implement them? Implement those lessons, those realizations that are so deep and profound that your entire life changes. How do you integrate those? One of my great mentors once told me, it's like you get a puzzle and all the pieces are all spread out, but then you get to start putting that puzzle back together into a new way, a new possibility, a new way of being. And that's what the foundation is working on. The first retreat is the end of January of 2022. And if that's interesting to you, I want you to go to the wildlandwellnessfoundation.com. Check that out. And just schedule a call with Melissa and see if it's a good fit. Again, that's wildlandwellnessfoundation.com.
Yeah, it is. And we've, we all know you come with a script and you follow the script, but something Anne said about the golden bricks being kicked over, something I've added to the MER for when they come back, releasing all of the events on the emotion on all events. I've added knocking dominoes over, releasing all of the emotion on all events, like knocking the dominoes over, and people have actually resonated with that very well. They've told me when they've come back, it was like watching something on Facebook where somebody's knocked over 1,000 dominoes. And so yeah, we've modified a little bit or added to the MER session a little bit, because it seems to have helped people that are not that good at visualizing the whole process.
So energy for me is really important in sessions because I have been taught that energy is literally everything. So thoughts are the language of the brain and emotions are the language of the body, and both of those are completely just made of energy. And something that I have been taught and found a lot of use with and have used with my clients is kind of enforcing and releasing and using the energy of emotions and feelings. There's a lot of stuff that moves through the body. So I try and get my clients to think of it kind of as stuff actually moving through the body, because that's what energy is. Every time your body has a function, is it has a charge to it. So the things that I have experienced, especially with some of my breath work, is that myself and my clients, there's a lot of shaking or cramping or tingling or hot or cold. There's a lot of these transitions going on, especially as you're releasing or working through energy or memories or trauma. So as you're kind of doing this, I have actually incorporated something that one of my teachers taught me, and it's called a shake and dance. And essentially, once we have done some of the MER, or once you've done breath work and really worked through a lot of these things, is you do kind of a shaking motion. And there's no rules to this. Shaking is usually done standing up, but you literally just move your body in kind of a shaking motion, however feels good. And this kind of gets out a lot of the stuck and negative energy and emotions that may still be lingering. We talk about black spots or those black bads that get stuck in our body somewhere. That kind of helps those move along. And once you're done shaking, you just kind of flow almost for about a minute, and you just kind of move your body in a very comfortable, slow way that kind of like reintegrates the energy and starts to get it moving in a way that's conducive for how your body and mind want to work together. So just adding a little bit of, like we do a lot with clients, just sitting either on Zoom or face to face, just sitting in chairs across from each other. But if you actually engage that a little bit of extra movement, especially with something as big as MER, it seems to give myself and my clients just this sense of like congruency as far as just like moving the energy in addition to all the emotions that we just got rid of.
Oh, I love that, and that's so amazing. And I think a word that we've been using a lot that I really want to unpack is like negative emotions. And I feel like after doing so many, I haven't done a whole bunch, but I mean over 30 sessions now, and I feel like um, the negative emotions, like we get really stuck on that in our society, but I would say the emotions that we're releasing aren't negative, they're just stuck. And once we unstick the emotions, now we get to, it's not like we're like never going to feel angry or sad ever again. It's that we can actually fully feel those emotions for 30 minutes to an hour, maybe a couple hours, and then move through it. And I feel like this is, I want to get your take on this, Ellen, Cindy, of like, it's emotions aren't negative. Like they're really, really important. It's when they get stuck, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. One of the things we encourage our clients to do with our coaching is to actually feel their emotions and allow them to, go through them and to process them. It's very, very important. I think our emotions are like action signals saying, something's going on here. You got to pay attention, right? They're like our soul speaking to us. So I totally agree. And like you said, the stuck emotions that get stuck from stuff that's happened in our past, and releasing that is really important for our bodies to stay healthy, and to learn, for people to learn to just process those emotions and feel them like a wave going through them is very, very important. It helps us to identify what's going on in our life that we need to look at.
Yeah, yeah, I agree totally with the stuck. And sometimes when they get stuck, they label it as bad. But an emotion, every emotion is got some positivity in it or some benefit to it. It's kind of like the fight or freeze, fight, and flight. We all have these emotions. It's when we don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Validate them, or yeah, process them, or just accept that we have emotions. I find a lot of times, especially with men, they think they don't have emotions and they can't show them. But you know what? We all have emotions, and there is benefits to them.
Yeah, so amazing. So I wanted to um, just kind of ask around here of like, how would you describe NLP and MER to somebody? Like, what is the session like? Like, what is the process like for your clients, Alan and Cindy?
For us, you know what? When I tell people about NLP and the process of NLP, I use the thing when someone's traumatized, they can be traumatized quickly, and why not? Why is it that people believe they cannot be released from trauma or um, free from trauma? It's the perception that you have to go through the process of desensitized desensitization that that's the way they believe it has to be done. But when I explain NLP, how NLP releases emotions attached to events that they've labeled negative or they view as bad, it's kind of like freedom from it. And the best thing I've told people about NLP would be the ability to come to a freedom from anything that you've attached in your life that's happened to you. And that's a good question because I've used so many different descriptions for NLP. I guess it depends on the person I'm with at the time.
Right, right. Yeah, that's so amazing.
Um, I kind of explain the MER process as the person still has the memory of the event that they're releasing, but they don't have the emotions attached that have been causing them so much hardship over the years, especially with trauma. So you're just releasing that emotion that the person identifies at that time um, in their body. It helps release that. So they still have the memory and they still have the learnings, but they can now go on with their life and not have that affect them negatively, so that they're not being triggered all the time and not being able to move forward with their life.
I want to guide you through natural wellness and holistic medicine, which means using products like essential oils, essential vibes, glutathione mouthwashes, or even reading books. There's so many products out there that can help us, supplements, essential oils. There's so many things about the doTERRA lines of essential oils that I use every day, like lemon to detox my body and help me hydrate, like On Guard to give me that extra edge in my immune system with the pandemic going, balance to keep me grounded and moving forward in my life. I use the oils every single day, morning, afternoon, night. One of the biggest things they help me with is sleep. I sleep so well because I'll lay on the lavender, I'll lay on the balance, I'll feel so grounded and sleepy, and it's lights out. And I know the Wild and Fire community just struggles so much with sleep, and really the lack of it, right? On top of that, there's books. I've written 3 major books for the Wild and Fire community, and I want you to try them out. Give them a read. Get the ebook, get the paperback, whatever suits you. But there's Overcome Anxiety Like a Hero, really teaches you how to get into a flow state. Awakened by Heartfire is really the spiritual aspects of Wild and Fire, and the Heartfire anthology, the guided meditations, the Heartfire method will completely change your life. And of course, 6 Minutes for Excellence. That is a guidebook for wildland firefighter excellence, peak performance, mindset, all those things. So go to mountainmindtricks.com, check out the store, check out essential oils, essential vibes, go to the publishing tab, check out the books. Natural wellness is all about taking one step today that makes us 1% better. 1% better today, 1% better tomorrow, and 1% better the next day and the next day. One little habit adds up to moving an entire mountain with our health. That's what I want to guide you through. The essential oils, essential vibes, books, supplements, whatever you need, I'm here for you. So just go ahead and go to mountainmindtricks.com and click on the shop and go to essential oils, essential vibes, or go to the publishing tab and check out the books we've got.
So the way I describe MER is almost exactly like Cindy does. It's basically, you can have a thought or a memory without the really heavy emotional charge afterwards. But when we try and talk about or explain NLP to people, and I found this even through some of the teachings that I've had, is there's no really good, this is exactly what NLP is, because it is so involved. There's so many different pieces to it, and it's very complicated as far as what it can encompass, because it can do so much. The way I try and explain it is it's all based on really good communication. And communication starts with the conversations that you have with yourself in your head. And if you say that you don't do that, you're a liar. You're talking to yourself right now. So mastering communication with yourself is understanding some of those root causes that we were talking about earlier, that I am not good enough. That's a belief that you have from saying it to yourself so many times in different situations. So if you can master the communication with yourself, especially after you've done MER and released all those, the power of some of those emotions, then you can communicate with yourself really effectively, know exactly what you want, know exactly how to get it, and then communicate effectively with other people like your partner or your family or your friends. And I think just understanding that too can be really enlightening for people as far as understanding how we can help them and what kind of their new dreams and goals could be.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's so awesome. And I think for me, it's almost like I step into the client's world, right? I step into their box, if you will, of all those limiting beliefs that create that box. And then, throughout the process, we just start looking at all the different screws or different boards or different things that they've built up. And we just start asking questions, and unscrewing things and starting to like undo some of these processes that they're running all the time until, wait a minute, that box is gone. And I think, I don't know, this is my favorite thing to explain it, is that it's like going to the chiropractor for your mind, because I really feel like the MER is so fast and short, and we really are adjusting your beliefs, we're adjusting your thoughts and emotions, and it's like an adjustment of your reality. It's really interesting, and I don't know, I always liked that the most, like going to the chiropractor for your mind.
I'm going to use that.
Right? It's pretty good. Like I like that a lot. And I don't know, it's so it's a hard process to explain to people because it is so deep and so profound. And I think one of my favorite pieces of this, right? We have the NLP, the neuro linguistic programming, but there's also the hypnosis, which I feel like all of this falls under hypnosis in a way. But I wanted to get Alan and Cindy's thoughts on like, how do you use hypnosis with a client after MER, and like what are some things, what's the best way you've used hypnosis for clients?
When we created the freedom session, we tell people, and this is basically a rough description of what we're going to do. We're going to find, or we're going to work on your limiting beliefs. You're going to share your limiting beliefs with us. We usually give people homework so that they're working on it before the session. So the first hour of the session may be about limiting beliefs or whatever they want to release. The center section is the MER, and then we do the release of limiting beliefs. But at the end, the last 30 minutes, we do hypnosis with people, and we reinforce the new empowering belief that they've created when they've changed the limiting belief, or released the old limiting belief and installed the new belief. We reinforce it again in hypnosis, and we've had amazing results, because we get the person we're working with to record it on their phone, and then they have the opportunity to either to go to bed at nighttime with it, reinforcing all of these new beliefs, or they wake up in the morning and they start their day listening to it. And every client that we've done it with is absolutely, they're still doing it. And we've worked with, geez, I can't even tell you how many people, and people are still doing it 6-7 months later. And the joke is they're either going to bed with Cindy, or they're going to bed with me, listening to hypnosis on a daily basis. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that follow up with really the reinforcing the new beliefs with hypnosis. I love that so much, and I feel like something I've done recently that just kind of came to me in a session is usually in the hypnosis that I close out with, we do some energy work, and what I started to do is when we bring in divine light, like if it's Reiki or Huna, whatever we're doing, we'll allow that light to carry beliefs into the body and really embed them in the body, and using that imagery to like embed the new beliefs inside the body. And I found this is, I don't know, it feels really good. And I think the client really resonates with that, like going into their nervous system. And I just want to get like Cindy's take on this, of like allowing the light to carry new beliefs.
Oh, I love that idea. When you were saying that, I'm looking at Al going, yeah, we're doing that. Because we do a lot of light work with our hypnosis, and a lot of the wording is around light, and so that is like incredible. That's, oh my gosh, that's an amazing idea. So we're gonna definitely do that now for now on.
We're using that one too, Thomas.
Yeah, right. It's I don't know where it came from. I can't remember. I think it just came to me during a session, but I love it so much. And I think to kind of shift a little bit, I want to ask you guys about placebo, right? Because this is Like, I think some people think like, well, it's just placebo what you're doing. Like, maybe, but at the same time, it's like placebo is so powerful. It's accounted for in every medical study. Like what Joe Dispenza is doing is placebo. I think he would probably say that. But it's really, I think that diminishes what's happening. I feel like what we're really doing is working with the mind body connection. But at the same time, maybe we're moving somebody from a nocebo effect, whereas like negative beliefs are actually affecting their physical body, to something that's positive, right?
You know what? For me, it's kind of like what Anne said a little bit earlier. Your words, your thoughts, they have energy. They have power. And if you tell yourself something so many times that it becomes a belief, and that's what a belief is. It's just a thought that you've told yourself over and over and over again, like I'm not worthy or I don't deserve. It begins to have power. And what we do, we give the power back to the person when we do MER, when you do hypnosis, and the energy changes in the belief. And if you think about it, how many times have you heard somebody say, um, oh, not me, it's not for me, it's not for them? And you know what, when I get people that come up and say, that's really nice, but that's not for me, I tell them, you're right, you're absolutely right, because they believe it's not for them. And it doesn't really, you can't change somebody's mind if they're not open to trying something else. So imagine somebody that the guy that invented or created the pyramids, if he didn't believe in what he was doing, and his thoughts, his imagination became pyramids. The Great Wall of China became somebody's thought, became the Great Wall of China. That's how much power your thoughts have, the energy that you're putting into your thoughts. And if you believe you can do something, Henry Ford says, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So yeah.
Yeah, I think another practitioner, we were talking about beliefs one day, and she told me, I think beliefs go even farther than what we were taught in training, because I think beliefs are actually what create our universe. And maybe we're just taking that lesson that we learned in training even deeper. But I've been like resonating on that. I'm like, I think I'm pretty sure that beliefs are, they create our reality. And like, not, and yes, we're told this in training, but I mean, they're almost the structure of the universe. And I think the beliefs and the human consciousness is that strong that when whatever we believe, like you're saying, is real. Like, we can believe anything and it's real. And it's interesting how impactful our beliefs are. And I want to get Anne's take on this.
So the beliefs are, like you said, kind of the fabric of the world, and the things that we believe are true, regardless of who you are. So if I believe the sky is purple, everybody else might think I'm wrong, but to me, it is wholeheartedly true for whatever reason, based on the beliefs, like we were talking about earlier, that are formed by the thoughts that we continue to tell ourselves. So the big thing, kind of bringing that kind of belief and what we call an internal representation. So basically, that meaning how I view the world is based on my thoughts, my beliefs, and my past experiences. And it is completely unique to me because no one has lived my life. So my internal representation is different from everybody else's, and so is yours. So taking that internal representation back to trauma a little bit, is everybody's trauma is going to look different. People can go through the same situation and have completely different responses to it based on their internal representation and their experiences and kind of their trauma resiliency. But all of that is based on what they think and how they feel, and kind of the power of their mind of, yes, I can be really resilient in this situation and keep moving forward, or no, I need to work with this a little bit more because I've packed up so much trauma. But the belief that I've been through something traumatic and now it's going to define me for the rest of my life is very powerful. When you say that to yourself, that's going to start happening. Or if you have the belief of this was really big and all I need to do is work through it and call on the correct resources, that will continue to happen as well. So just by changing your perspective, kind of like we touched on earlier, just that change in perspective can completely rewire your mind and rewire your life at that point. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is get new perspective to our clients and get new perspective for ourselves so that we can open up and just stay more productive, more resilient, and just be better people.
Oh, I love that, Anne. Yeah, and it's so like these beliefs are everything, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes, it's exactly what you both have said. They create the world that you live in. They create how you perceive something. And Anne was absolutely right. Two people looking at the same exact event. One person looks up and says, "Oh my God, that's terrible," and the other person looks up and says, "Ah, well."
Right.
So it's kind of like it's individualized. Your thoughts create the world you're in, and if you go back to healing and to medications, if you think it's possible, it is possible.
I have a really quick story to tell you about this power of belief. I have a girlfriend in her 40s or 50s. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she had taken all the chemo and all whatever. And she went to her doctor's office. She was 90 pounds, bald, and she looked pretty rough. And he said to her, "You better get your affairs in order because you only have a very limited time to live, like a month." And she has such a will to live. She went right up with her finger in his face and said, "You are not going to tell me when I live or die." And she's in her 70s now, and she lived
Yeah.
because of her will. It's like, "You're not telling me. I decide when I live and when I die." And I think that's such an amazing story of her will to live and her belief in herself that she was going to live. I thought that was absolutely amazing. So I think that, that our beliefs in ourself and our world around us do create our life and our reality. Absolutely. 100%.
The foundation of Mountain Mind Tricks is the breakthrough sessions for wildland firefighters, and it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my entire life, is to guide somebody through an awakening experience, remembering that they have the power to heal and giving them the tools to release the anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt from their past, and to truly release it, to let it go. When I see these transformations in my clients, it's like night and day. There's before the breakthrough session, and then there's after. And there's just so many times that their transformation touches me that I cry. Like it's so powerful and joyful to see that transformation inside them. And there's so many modalities out there. There is acupuncture and traditional therapy and plant medicine, but I love the breakthrough session. I think it's an amazing adjunct to all these other things, or even Western medicine. And the breakthrough session is so important to me because it's what changed my life. It's what allowed me to completely let go of my anxiety and to move forward and to become the healer that I am today, to start my own company, Mountain Mind Tricks. Like that's because of the breakthrough session. Without that, there wouldn't be any of this. And so if you're interested in a breakthrough session to really overcome the blocks in your life, to let it all go, to really step into your light and be who you know you could be, if you want that to happen for you, just go to mountainmindtricks.com, go ahead and click that button, Alternative Mental Health, scroll through there. If it looks like something you want, let's schedule a discovery session. Let's just chat about it. Let's have a talk to make sure it's a good fit. So again, go to mountainmindtricks.com and click the Alternative Mental Health button.
Oh, it's such a powerful story. Thank you, Cindy. And I wanted to ask you guys, because I know you've had some additional training that's for licensed practitioners about, mind-body connection and really working with maybe diagnosed things, right? And I'm not sure if you guys have worked with that yet, but what's really interesting is I think when there is I'm not a licensed professional necessarily, but I am a master practitioner. And so there's kind of boundaries for me, which is really important. And I think when I look at some of the licensed medical doctors or licensed psychologists here in the States that are master practitioners, and how they can actually use MER to work with a diagnosis or something medical, there is a huge application to this. And I just want to get your guys' take on this.
Oh, there's so much to that. I know one of the biggest things that stood out for me in that training was, and it was all mostly around physical healing. One of the biggest things taught us in the training that really stood out to me is he said, in many cases, when someone has had something very traumatic happen to them, usually within 2 years after, there could be a physical ailment that starts, and that you can help them release through the MER process. That was really amazing for me. And I just had a girlfriend actually tell me she has she has a growth in her breast and it's cancerous. And first thing I thought of her daughter died 2 years ago.
Right.
And it's almost like on the mark of when they said around 2 years after.
Right, absolutely. And it's so interesting because I know, like, in my own journey, after my best friend Mike passed away, I mean, 6 months later to a year, I mean, really, my physical body was a wreck with all sorts of weird symptoms. And it's so interesting because it was trauma related. It was the mind body connection. Like, my mind was so traumatized from that it started manifesting in the body. And I think it's so interesting. Like, we hear people say so many times, especially in the wild and fire community, where it's like, we just gotta stuff it down and push through and stuff it down. And what's interesting is when you stuff things down, or when you say things like, "Oh, that person's a pain in my neck," like you're telling your body to stuff that negative energy or that energy that's not serving you somewhere inside your body. And I think it's so interesting how the things that we stuff away in our mind, we actually stuff them inside our body, don't we?
And you know what? When it comes to the especially for a lot of the men I've worked with that do stuff their feelings down and don't deal with it, I tell them, well, what happens to the garbage bag when you've filled it right up to the top and you keep putting garbage in it and you keep pushing it in? What happens to the bag, or what happens to the can? And that's exactly the analogy I use for people. When you keep stuffing emotions down, things are going to happen. It's going to come out in a different way. And it's going to be like you said, Thomas, that guy that said pain in the neck. He's a pain in the neck. And then suddenly he's got the pain in the neck because he's talking about, well, I'm stuffing it down. And this is like the residual effect of stuffing it. You end up with ulcers, you end up with a problem in your knee or your back or whatever it is that comes up. I can't exactly tell you what'll come up after you stuff feelings down, but something's going to come up.
Right. You're right. And so I think, I want to get Anne's take on this. And then I also want to bring up, like, one of the books I use almost every session is Healing Your Body from Louise Hay, and really using those affirmations to reinforce the new beliefs and the healing that can transfer. And I just want to get Anne's take on the medical side as well as, like, the book.
I think you'll explain the book really, really well, because we have talked about this several times. And from personal experience and experience with working with people that have had physical representations of whether it's chronic pain or, injury that keeps popping up in the same place or something that keeps nagging them after season, whatever it is all of these things that keep popping up, whether it be pain or discomfort or cramping, has a root cause to it. So it could be that post-trauma kind of a thing. It could be something that is related to an actual injury. And the thing that Dr. Matt James teaches is you need to fix the structural issue with, like, regular Western medicine. So if you break a femur, you need to go have that reset. That's kind of a basic idea. But there's a certain amount of time that it takes that injury or ailment to heal. And if it lasts longer than that timeline, around the average timeline for it to heal, then there has to be a deeper cause that's still holding on to that pain and holding on to that discomfort. And a lot of people will say, well, it's not in my head. This is an injury that happened to me. But the root cause is still attached to something, whether it be trauma, whether it be something that's more particular. Like I'm having this one really big issue in my relationship that just keeps bothering me. The pain shows up like as a lower back pain that's consistent for several years. And they just keep trying to treat it with physical therapy or whatever treatment plan that the doctor has given them, and it's just not working because that root cause, like we said with the MER, is something that's more cognitive. It's something that you've been thinking or believing for so long.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And Alan, Cindy, are you familiar with the book Heal Your Body by Louise Hay? Is that something you guys have worked with before?
Absolutely. I've been using it with my Reiki practice for years. I would always have the book with me, and when I did the Reiki, whatever chakra that they had, I noticed when I was scanning their body through the chakras and stuff, we would talk about Louise Hay, and also whatever part of their body they're having problems with, we would look it up, and it would be exactly what they were dealing with, that kind of metaphysical stuff going on.
Right. It's so interesting. Yeah, it's so powerful. And so, is there any questions that I haven't asked you yet, or anything that you want to go deeper? Any questions you want to ask me?
Well, I think we only got an hour or 2 days or something like that. I could sit here all day asking questions, Thomas, like how come you held out on, this or that, but no.
It's always an amazing conversation with you, Thomas. It's nice to share with other people doing the same work, and people who do energy work or whatever with different backgrounds. There's so many different ways we can use these amazing techniques to help people empower their lives. Like, it's just, I love this. And it would be really nice to do this with more practitioners that do this work, that have different ways of doing things, because it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's almost, our life experience gives us a flavor as a practitioner, and it really is so much fun to get a whole bunch of master practitioners together and just jam on these things because, like, Anne uses a lot of breath work. I use Huna, and it's just like it's just so much fun. You guys use Reiki. It's just there's all sorts of different ways to mash this up, and it's my favorite thing to do in the world, and it's my job now, which is so amazing. And so, where can people find you, and I want to jam about some of the books you guys have written, because they're some amazing books that you've written. And where can people find you?
Our website is tmw.coach. It's brand new. Well, it's a month or so ago it's up, but the books are, you know what? I'll tell you a funny story how we wrote our first book, The Magic Within, How to Transform Your Life. And we just shared a little bit about some traumatic events we went through and some techniques. And this was just before we became NLP practitioners. We wrote that book just to help people, and it ended up transforming our lives into international best-selling authors, and we've got many books after that. And our last year's, or the previous year's book, Awakened: The Magic Within, Triumph Over Trauma, Volume 1, where Thomas was one of the co-authors. We gathered 13 people to share their stories of how they overcame their own traumas to be the person they are today. And we had that idea to write that book because the world needed some inspiration on some good news, because we've been going through this COVID together, and we've all been suffering in our, well, I guess, lockdown in our own ways. So we created that book to share stories that inspire people. And now I'm creating the calling, and answering the call to help, for help, or to help.
To help.
Yeah. We're creating this one to spotlight all of these people like Thomas and Anne and all of the other people that are out there helping other people, whether it's single moms or people volunteering. And I want to spotlight them because they're the real heroes today. It's not the athlete, it's not the actor, it's the people that are out there helping people. And that's our project we're working on right now, gathering writers to share their amazing stories about their amazing what they do, and to show people there are people out there that are helping.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love that. I love that idea. Such an amazing book. Oh, what kind of offerings do you have for folks that if they want to reach out to you?
You know what? If they reach out to our website, we're about to put a bunch of free hypnosis on there that we've been doing. And there's managing the emotional storm will be on there. It's a short book that helps people to manage the emotional storm. We're giving away a lot of things free for people so that they can, take back their lives. We have a couple of workbooks that are almost finished, ready to go on to Amazon and to the website so that people can do this work at their own pace, at home in, it's like online.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love it. And do you have any questions or thoughts or anywhere you want to go?
I'm just happy.
I love it.
That's it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for such a great interview and coming on the show and really, just jamming about mental emotional release and hypnosis and NLP. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you too. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Thomas. It's always an honor to spend time with you and to get new ideas. And I wasn't kidding when I said I'm adopting those ideas that you shared with us. That's one thing about Cindy and I. We have no issue with trying new things and tweaking the way we do things. And if somebody shares a good method with us, we will use it to help as many people as possible. And thank you, Anne. It was nice sharing the time with you.
Yes, thank you so much. And as I said, I love talking about this stuff. It's great sharing ideas back and forth, and so we can help each other to help empower other people's lives in the world. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.